In today's class, we will be continuing the discussion on GIS and its types of data. As we already discussed in the previous class, there are two types of data which is present in GIS, that is spatial data and attribute data. Attribute data also can be called as non-spatial data. So spatial data, as we all know, it is especially how the features are present in the earth based on the location. This type of data are called as spatial data. Attribute data is explaining about the characteristics of the selected feature. So in today's lecture, we will be concentrating more towards the spatial data and its types. So spatial data can be divided into two types in the GIS domain. In the GIS domain, the spatial data are of two types, vector data and raster data. So what is a vector data and what is a raster data? So in this example picture, we can able to see how the real world features are present in the earth surface. We can able to see one road is there, which is represented with these two lines. And here you can able to see some group of trees are present on two places, and there is some two houses are also present. This is how the real world features is appearing. So I have another slide, yeah, which is giving more clarity to you. This is the real world appearance of the feature. Or like a lake or something is there, and we can able to see some distributaries or some the branches of water bodies is passing here, and here it is a forest or a vegetation cover, we can say. And this is a marshy land or a wetland, and this is how the real world, while it is converting into a vector form, how the features are changing. The real world features are represented using three features in the vector format, that is point, line and polygon. Here you can able to see the discrete features. Discrete features are nothing but the features which are having zero dimension or which are having only one single xy coordinates or location, that will be represented using a point. The linear features like a road, and in the case of this diagram it is a river, these features will be represented using line or polyline. And group of features which are grouped together in a area based place. It can be a marshy land, it can be a reservoir, it can be a forest, a vegetation land, a district map. These features will be represented using the polygon. Here you can able to see the lake is represented with polygon, the forest is represented again with polygon, the river network is represented using line. So that is about the vector representation. Now coming into the raster. The same features you can able to see how different its appearance in the raster format. The raster format means it is a group of pixels or matrix of cells. Here, with the presence of various rows and columns, various cells are present, and each cells will be captured with the data. Here the linear feature which is present in the vector, it is represented using the letter R, and you can able to see the data which are filled in a linear manner in this raster matrix, how it is. And the houses which is represented with H, and it is a point feature, only one pixel is having the data about that. This is T representing the tree, group of trees, and the polygon features of the vector is converted into this manner, or the pixels of that area will be filled up with the related data. And this one also you can able to see how the real world features are represented using the matrix format, or that is a raster format. Now in detail we are going to study about this each model. First one, raster model. The raster model, as I already told you, it is using for the it is mainly it is using for continuous values such as rainfall, or in other words, we can understand that the feature or the phenomenal features which are happening on the surface, like rainfall, or and the slope variation in one area, and flood level changes in an area, or the what I can say, the elevation variations or rainfall variation, and yeah, such phenomenal features which are having three-dimensional features can be better way we can represent in the raster data. And if we know that it is a matrix of cells, you can able to see if we are taking this particular image, only one pixel is having the data, that is a point data, and here some group of pixels which are arranged in linear manner, which is having the data, and other cells are having null data. And here the polygon based area based features are represented almost like a polygon. The cells are filled up with data. And cell size in a raster data, it is also very important. So as we know, the raster data, it is having group of cells, and each cell is having particular value if the data is present. If the data is not present, it is the cell value is null, or it is not having any value. So as the you can able to see here in this example itself, you can able to see here in the first case, most of the cells are having null value, but in the case of the last one, only few cells are emptied with without any data. So as the cell value increases, the data which are present in that image also will be increasing. And there is also another thing to be learned based on the cell sizes, the size of the cell. So we know that the resolution, okay, with respect to resolution, I will explain the cell size. So all of us know that our Android phones are camera, and we will be selecting our camera based on the megapixel capacity of the camera. If it is having high megapixel, it means it is having very good resolution, or the image capturing by that particular camera will be having more clarity and less resolution. Say, for example, some 5 years before there was 12 megapixel, and now we know that in the industry there is Android phone with 120 megapixel cameras are available. So, how much evolution is happened to that? Okay, we are not discussing about that. The as per the resolution capacity increases, the cell size also will get reduced. So it is like in opposite way. So try to understand that if there is more number of cells are present in an image, it means it is having ample of data. But on the other side, if the cell size are very big, it means it is having the number of cells, if it is less and each cell is having very big size, it means the resolution of that image will be less, and the data which are present in that image also will be less. That is what here I am trying to brought to your understanding. A smaller cell size means high resolution, and larger cell size means low resolution. And obviously, when the smaller cell size, which are having higher resolution, which require more disk space to store, so obviously it will be slower in display. And but on the other side, larger cell size with lower resolution will be faster in display. And the same reason, slow processing, but this will be faster in processing. This require large file size, and the larger cell size requires small cell size. Advantages of raster: it is a simple data structure. Mainly it is using for continuous data representation. The ability to uniformly store point, line, polygon and surfaces. And it is having very good important another feature, so called overlay. Overlay, it is a spatial analysis we'll be doing in the GIS. With the raster data, overlay analysis will be easy. What are the disadvantages? So as I said, if the raster data, if which is having high resolution, handling with that data will be more complex. There can be spatial inaccuracies due to the limit imposed by raster data cell dimension. This is what we had explained with respect to the cell size. Raster datasets are potentially very large. Resolution increases, the size of cells decreases. Accordingly, cost and disk space used also increases. There is also a loss of precision that accompanies restructuring data to regularly space the raster cell boundary. So all you can able to make out that these all disadvantages are mainly because of the cell size, based on cell size, or the resolution of the data, and handling such ample data will be difficult in the case of raster. Coming to the vector data model, so already you know that it is a representation of the real world features using point, line and polygon. The linear features will be represented using line, and we will also call the polyline. Then the discrete features, like the features are having only zero dimension, they will be represented using the point features, and the area based features will be represented using the polygon. So here again, once again, you can able to see the vector data model. It usually represent the features in a two-dimensional coordinate system, because in the case of raster data, we observe that the phenomenal features like rainfall and the temperature variation or the water level variation, which are having z dimension, can be represented in a 3D view only in the case of raster data. Here I wanted to show you some of the few features which can be represented using vector data features, so-called point, line and polygon. So the discrete features like town, church, triangular pillar or wind pump, it can be represented using a point. So from example itself we can make out that these all the features are discrete feature or a single feature which are having only one dimension. And linear features, all the features are linear here, like boundary, railway network, road, river, or it can be a cable network or a pipeline network. This everything can be represented using a line feature. And the last one, area based feature or a polygon. Say for example, desert, forest, a district map, and a marshy land or a wetland or a like vegetation land and agricultural land can be represented using a polygon feature. Again, putting more light towards each feature representation. Point, a point which is a zero dimensional feature, and which can be represented using the point feature. And examples we already seen, like building, power pole, sample location, collection points, etc. Line feature which are having one dimensional feature property, and if group of lines are connected together, we will call it as polyline. Road network and a railway network boundaries are example. Polyline area based features. Here, the river, I mean a lake or a water bodies, separate water bodies like reservoirs, a natural lake, and a pond, and a forest area, a marshy land, an agricultural land, a district area, different parcels of land can be represented using polygon. Now we will be concluding our today's session with what are the advantages and disadvantages of raster and vector data. So students, in exam you will be getting question like explain the different data models of GIS. That is, the representation of features can be can be done through two format, that is vector and raster. So you are supposed to write everything in detail about raster, about the vector and each feature representation, and also you can conclude your answering with advantages and disadvantages of vector and raster. And sometimes separately also you will get question like explain the distinguishing features of vector and raster data. So here we will be looking now advantages of vector data as in the case of raster, which requires less disk space. So here there is no matter of resolution and cell size. It is nowhere a matter here in the case of vector. Efficient for topological relationship. So here topology, it may be a new word to you. Topology, we know that it is a mathematical term, but here in the GIS we are using it is a accuracy or a quality of accuracy of the GIS data. Say, for example, if there is a duplication of the data or repetition of the data, or if there is any connectivity is missing between a road network lines or some other feature, these inaccuracies can be get boosted up, or it can be get cleared, or removal of this duplication or missing lines can be done through the topological study or topological tool usage in the case of GIS. So, in the case of vector, topological relationship or topological analysis is very efficient, and it is easy to edit, accurate map output, and it is efficient. Projection transformation is also there. What are the disadvantages of vector data? It is considering as a complex data structure and less compatibility with remotely sensed data. Why means especially the remotely sensed data are already in raster format. So the vector data format it will be having compared to remotely sensed data, it will be having less compatibility and high expensive for the software and hardware, no appropriate to represent continuous features like rainfall, elevation, temperature variation, etc. Only the one up to one dimensional or two dimensional features we can represent using vector, but not the 3D dimensional features. Overlay analysis, it will be time consuming in the case of vector data analysis. Okay, so here again I have aligned the difference between raster data and vector data. So it is already we discussed in the previous slides, just I have aligned in a proper way, that's it. So in the next class we will be continuing with what are the different attribute data models and types.